All right, what's going on, my brothers and sisters of YouTube? What's going on, my brothers and sisters in the coding world? This is your brother Greg Ward from Codenlighten, and we just got back from day 3 of our coding bootcamp, where we learned all about tables. So we will get into that shortly. All right, here we go. All right, you guys. So coding bootcamp day number 3 review. Today we went over intermediate HTML. Where we got into tables, and it's not a bad, it's not too hard, but definitely when you start to get into it and you start to see some of the cool things you could do with HTML, such as creating a table within a table, as one of the brothers in my class said, and I'm not going to name names for the people in the class for privacy issues, but he said something funny. He said, "Man, tables were hard, and if my dad comes to me and says, this evening, come to the table, son, for dinner, I'm gonna run out the door." And so I thought that was pretty funny. All right, so anyway, let's just dive right into it. I want to share my screen and show you some examples that I attempted to make on Photoshop to give a little visualization of what it is that I'm talking about. And then we'll go dive straight into the code. Don't have a lot of time, only got about 15 minutes, so we'll try to get as much done as possible because we got to get to class soon. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen. All right, let's see. Minimize that. All right, so check it out, you guys. If you could see this. All right, so some examples. You could have something super simple. Basically, what we're looking at is this right here would be a table, if you will. So skills would be above the table. So I'll try to give you an example of that. And then this right here would be row number 1. So when you're dealing with tables, you're dealing with rows, and then you're dealing with data cells from left to right in the row. So when you create your when you create your tables, you're dealing with row 1, and then data cell number 1 for row 1, and then data cell number 2 for row 1, and then you create another row and you create the data cell for row 2, and then data cell number 2 for row 2, so on and so forth. And as you see right here, you don't need to have borders. This is an example of something we'll get into in a second where there is borders, and I'll show you on the simple one how to create a border. And then down here, let's see, did I do anything different? It's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. So it was more difficult for me. I'm not the greatest in Photoshop. Maybe I shouldn't have put 4 stars there. But anyway, let's get into it. This is going to be an example right here, down here, number 3, where I'm going to show you how you can create a table inside of a table. I'm going to do my best to replicate what we did yesterday. We are in coding bootcamp day number 4 today, but I didn't have time yesterday to make the video, so we're going to try to do it before class today. So in this example number 3, what it's going to be is you're going to have this whole thing is going to be the table number 1. It's going to be your overarching table, and then inside this data cell right here, this will be just one big row. Okay, so imagine this is row 1, and that's it. That's all we have is just one row. So table, row 1, data cell number 1, data cell number 2, and within this data cell number 1, we're going to do our best to replicate that you can create inside this data cell another table, and that way you can just have a little bit more organization within your tables. Anyway, what I'm told is that once we get into some other coding, CSS and whatnot, we might be able to find some better ways to deal with some of the organization of the styling of the website itself. But you can create some organization and some styling with HTML, and tables is one way to do it. So let's just try to dive right straight into it. I'm going to pull up Atom. Once again, atom.io, you could download this. And while I'm doing this, I just want to mention a couple of things that we talked about yesterday. Side note, when you're creating your HTML files, let's just actually go ahead and start doing it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you got your metadata right here, and I know that they're going to be teaching us more metadata to put in there, but the metadata is going to give us, it's going to give our websites the best chance of being found when people are looking for it, excuse me, because the metadata is going to tell the search engines what exactly is in our website. So the search, what they call the SEO, the search engine optimization, is best optimized, is best utilized, most effective when you create good data, good metadata. Anyway, that's just a side note. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So we'll call this title Tables HTML Examples. All right. So as you remember, we just typed in HTML in Atom, and because we had this, our plugins, all we had to do is click on it and it will automatically pop us into this boilerplate HTML. Pretty neat. All right, so let's just dive right into it. So when you're creating a table, I'll just, since once again, Atom does self-populate the boilerplate, if you will, or the code, I'll just type in a little bit of table and click on this, and it gives us our open tags and our close tags. So within this is going to be our table. So let's just make something real simple first. Okay, so, all right, without getting too crazy, we'll just go ahead and create our first table row. All right, and then in our first table row, we got to create our first data cell. So this will be our data cell number 1. So remember, we're going from left to right in each row. So let's see. Well, before we actually do that, let's give ourselves a little title to the table. We'll just do a simple H2 heading, and we'll call this. Well, let's go off of our example that we were looking at a second ago. So what do we have? We had skills, and we had HTML, Linux, and Photoshop, and we had some stars. All right, so we're going to come back over here. So row, what do we say? Above table, we're going to call it skills. Okay. Then we'll go back into our first data cell. So what do we say? We said HTML is our first one. So sorry, I keep on popping back and forth. A little bit tired right now, but we're going to have a good day today. All right, so HTML is our first data cell, and that's boom, boom. All right, real quick. So within our table row, right, here's our opening and closing table rows tags. So that's our first data cell. That's the one on the far left that will be there. And then we'll go ahead and create a table cell number 2, and we'll just give ourselves, right, 4 stars. All right. And we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll see if we could do a little, well, let's beautify it maybe. And it's probably already beautiful, huh? All right, let's see if we could preview HTML right here. Did it work? Let's see. Okay, so as you see, skills is above and HTML is our first data cell, first column, if you will, and the second data cell is the stars. So then we will go ahead and pop back over here, and we'll create our second table row. Oops. Yeah, no, I did that right. Okay. And what do we say was our second skill? Linux with 2 stars. So we'll go back over here to Atom, and we'll say, oh, don't forget, we need a table cell. All right, so we'll say Linux. All right, that's our, see that over here? We're now at our second row and our first data cell from left to right, remember. We go into our second table cell, and we'll give ourselves 2 stars. I don't know what I gave myself before in the other one, but yeah, I gave myself. All right, so let's go ahead and make ourselves row 3, Photoshop 4 stars, which probably is not true. I'm probably more like 2, but whatever. This is just an example. All right, so, oops, we need a row. Boom, boom. What did I mess up? See, it's showing me I messed up something. Let's see. All right, so let's see. Where are we? We're in table rotate. Oh, that's right. Okay. See that? I like this, Adam, because it will tell you if you mess something up. So we got to go below that table row. All right, so table row number 3, table cell number 1, and we shall call that, what do we say? Photoshop. All right, and then we'll go next, table and cell 2, and we'll give ourselves, we'll just give ourselves 3 stars, okay? Let's be more realistic. And that's probably still even being a little bit nice to myself. All right, so that's our example number 1. So that's our table number 1. Come down here and we shall go ahead and make our second table to give you table example number 2. And maybe we'll even go back up here and above skills, we'll say, whoops. We'll call it H1 heading, and we'll say example number 1. All right, now we'll come down here, boom, 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 boom. And whoops. All right, now we'll go ahead and say H2 again. Or was that H1? I don't remember what I did. H1, we do H1, okay, example number 2. All right, so now this table, let's see. Let's go ahead and have a little fun here if I can remember how to do this. Oops. All right, so we had hobbies, and we just listed out our hobbies like that. Three rows, 2 cells in each. And let's go ahead and create a border around this one. All right, so, all right, table row number 1. And we need a table cell number 1. Oh, we forgot to put up here H2 hobbies. All right. And then we'll come down here to our first data cell and see if we remember what I said. All right, guitar and Photoshop is the first 2. So boom, boom. That's our first data cell. And then it's going, remember, it's going left to right. Second data cell, guitar. Man, brain's not working. Guitar and Photoshop. All right, so that's that. Boom, boom. And then we'll do the second table row. Excuse me while I try to. All right. Data cell number 1 in our second row. And what do we say? We said coding in Ableton. All right, so Ableton is a music program I like to use. So coding is our first data cell. And Ableton, we'll just call it Ableton. All right, so that's table, that's row number 2. We're going to row number 3 now. Boom, boom. And first table cell of row number 3, and what do we say? Hiking and video editing. All right, so we say hiking. Give it our little capital there. Boom. And gosh, my memory is, and video editing. Sorry, I'm not thinking too well right this second. All right, and video editing. All right, so that's that right there. We got 2, and just to show you on this example, we'll say example 2, table with border. up here, we'll just call it simple table. All right. And in order to make a table with a border, it's so very easy. You just go into where you wrote table and you write next to it border equals quote, and just give it a 1. See that? And if you want to make it, also you can do no shade. I seem to usually like the way that looks. I don't know if I can see any difference right here. Do we see any difference? Let's check it out. All right, I'm not seeing a big difference right this second, but that's all right. We'll remember, you guys. I'm just showing you the things that I'm learning. So this is just fun, and if you guys have some pointers to make what we're doing even better, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments section. Again, just showing you guys what I'm learning. All right, so let's see. All right. All right, so let's go ahead down here to our third example. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just for fun, you guys, we'll try to use some of our skills that we learned yesterday or 2 days ago, and we'll separate each example with a horizontal line. So you remember how to do that? All we do is do HR, horizontal rule, boom. Does that work? All right, so there you go. There's one little separation. And we'll go down here and we'll do another one. Okay. All right, now as you see, this HR gave me that little thing. And really, I don't think makes a huge difference if that's there or not. Why don't we just go ahead and just, for fun, stick in that one too, just because I think that is maybe more the correct code, but they both work. That one actually auto-populated after I just typed it in myself. All right, so let's see. Don't have a whole lot more time. In fact, I'm pretty much out of time, but we're gonna go ahead and try to do our last example. So we'll do H1, heading 1, which is the biggest heading if you recall, and we'll call it example number 3. And we're gonna try to do with this table within a table. Gosh, I hope I could do this in such a short time. I might cheat real quick and pop over to my yesterday's. All right, so let's see. Gosh, there's some other stuff I really wanted to show you, but all right, so if you could see this. All right, so what we did was, let me pull this over a little bit. Can I do that? I'm going to close out my preview for a second. All right, so if you could see, I'm going to just kind of show you. We created our table, we gave it a border, and our first row, we made our first row, and then that row comes all the way down here and closes here. So there's only one row, remember. Go back to our picture. So, all right, so this is just the row, okay? And here's table cell number 1, table cell number 2. And inside this table cell, there's a whole nother table. I'll show you what I mean when we pop this up if I can. All right, so we got the table row, first table row, which is again, comes all the way down here and closes it out. So it's just one table. And then the first data cell of our first table row, we do right there. We did a little table cell spacing, which I don't really have time to get into right this second. You guys could look it up. And then, so in our table data right there, we made a table row. Oh, I'm sorry, within, oh my gosh. All right, so we created a table, created the first row. In the first data cell, we created another table right there, as you can see. And then we created a row, and then we started working. So let's see if I could do this real quick and emulate some of this. Bear with me, you guys, bear with me. All right, so table row, boom, and then we created table data cell, and then created another table, and then with that we created table row, and let's see. Okay, so again, you got to visualize this stuff. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and pull our preview up so we can see as we're doing it. All right, so within that table row, let's go ahead and say, let's call this table best, best pizza. All right, so we'll go down to our first table and we'll say, we're gonna rate these with stars if we can. All right, so we said Janello's, okay. And, oh, that's right, we didn't, sorry, forgive me. We need inside this table row, table data, so, all right, so Janello's, create another table data cell, and we'll give it 4 stars, all right? And let's go ahead and pop up here just so we can see what's going on. Let's give it a border. All right. And I'll say cell spacing equals 1 also. So cell spacing just kind of gives it a little space around itself. All right, so where are we at? We gave ourselves a table row, table data, and then in that first, am I doing this right? I sure hope so. Table row, table data, and give ourselves another table row, and table data, and we'll say Domino's, and we'll give ourselves another table data cell, and we'll give that one 3 stars. All right, so as you can see, there's our table first. This is our table within the table. Again, it might be hard to visualize it first, but here's row number 1, data cell number 1, data cell number 2, row number 2, and data cell number 1 and 2. All right, so then let's just keep it at 2 for now. All right, so that's that. All right, and let's see if I'm doing this right. So sorry, you guys. This is just still learning. All right, so between those 2 table rows, open and close tags, we have our first data cell. Let's go ahead and give our second data cell within the huge, back here to back here, table row. So remember, it's just 1 row. This is the big table we're gonna make, and this is row 1. This is gonna be data cell number 1. Within that data cell, we have another table here. Okay, let's just go ahead and do it. All right, so we need, let's see, data cell. We're gonna make our second table in there, and we need a table row and table cell, and we'll call this zeros. And then we'll do data cell number 2, and we'll give it 3 stars. Well, let's give it 4 stars. They're really good. And then we shall go to our next table row, boom, and this will be our last one. What else is in town? Papa John's. Again, this is just for fun, you guys. Whether I actually think that this, oh, sorry, didn't give my table data. All right, so Papa John's. Okay, and then we'll give our second table data, boom, boom, and we'll give it 3 stars as well. All right, so Domino's and Papa John's, they both get 3. All right, so that's basically it, you guys. As you can see, this is the whole overarching table, this big square. Inside this first data cell of the single row that we have in our overarching table, we have the first data cell. It's got a table in itself. And here's the first row within this data, and then here's data cell number 1, data cell number 2, boom, boom. And here's our data cell number 2 of the overarching. And in this, there's a table, and you have row 1, data cell 1, 2, and row 2, data cell 1, 2. And if you wanted to, you could even, within the tables, you can also give it a border equals 1. See what I'm saying? So now you can kind of see where those tables are actually tables within tables. We'll do the same thing here. All right. And that's about it, you guys. We're going to get into some more, hopefully, later on today. But I just wanted to show you guys this. So let's go ahead and save what we have. Boom, boom. And yeah, that's it for today, you guys. There is something I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you guys. There's what they call table headers. So if you wanted, let's say, what's a good example of how I could explain it? The table header is just basically the same thing as almost like the table data cells, but it will be in bold. So let's see if I could show this maybe down here with the pizza. Just to show you what it would look like, I'll just go ahead and say table header. Table header. Did that work? So, okay, see how the channel is bold now? And that's it, you guys. It's just a little simple way of making, if you wanted a top row to be bold, to be emphasized. So anyway, that's it for today, you guys. I hope you learned something. I certainly did, and it helps me to reinforce what I'm doing. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do one other thing before I leave. Instead of H2 up here for best pizza in town, what I want to show you guys is you can actually use the Caption Tool. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. This is kind of cool. I learned this accidentally a little bit, but best pizza in town. And what it does is, instead of making it above, way above, it'll give it right here, kind of as part of the, right kind of more next to the, what do you call it, the table. Anyway, that's it, you guys. This is our video for today. Review of bootcamp number 3, and today we're off to bootcamp number 4. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon.